Paton, and I'm an avid pilot, among other things. Spent my career in the aerospace industry. My background in aviation goes back a long way. When I was a little kid, I loved model airplanes, and I guess that's the way I got started. My first experience flying real airplanes was when I was about 11. I flew a Tiger Moth as a result of a contest that I won flying my model airplanes. And an 11-year-old to fly a Tiger Moth was pretty exciting. So that kind of got me into it. When I got a little older, I flew gliders and got my glider pilot's license. And a few years after that, in Canada, I got my power pilot's license, courtesy of the Canadian government, because they were willing to pay for my tuition. And I've been pretty much flying ever since, except a hiatus when we had our kids were growing up. Other than that, I've been flying all my life. I wanted to get into the aerospace industry somehow. And in order to do that, I picked a subject for my PhD thesis that was important to the aerospace industry. That was, I worked on titanium alloys, and so that part worked out pretty well. I did spend my career in the aerospace industry and had a lot of fun doing it. You know, when I think about where I like to fly, often it kind of doesn't really matter what the specific destination is, but I find myself flying toward coastal destinations a lot. It's fun to fly into an airport that's either right on the beach or right near the coast. There are airports in Santa Barbara, Little River, a whole bunch of places along the California coast where you can either walk to the coast or it's a short distance. And that makes it fun when you can fly to a coastal destination. When I thought, gee, it'd be nice to own my own airplane, I talked to some of my friends about buying a Cirrus, which was brand new at the time, and they all thought I was nuts to buy an airplane that was untested, untried. You know, airplane companies go out of business all the time, particularly the new ones. But I was determined that I thought the Cirrus was the airplane that would suit my family and my family's needs. So I put down a deposit. I intentionally didn't buy one of the first in the production line. I waited about 6 months, and that's almost 20 years ago now. So I've been very happy with that Cirrus. One of the things I like about it is it has an all airframe parachute, and it's a comfort not just to me, but to my family, and particularly my wife, to have that parachute if something goes wrong. Multiple times I've thought about selling the older Cirrus that I have, since it's one of the early production ones, and buying a new one. And every time I think about doing that, instead of selling it, I upgrade it with new avionics, new instruments, and improvements in the airplane. It turns out, really, performance-wise, the new ones are no better than the old ones. They have better instrumentation. And I've found that just by upgrading the instruments, I can keep the airplane up to date. And it saves me the hassle of learning to fly a different airplane. And they are different. The new ones have some different characteristics to them that would require some relearning. And when you get to be my age, it's fun to just get in the airplane and fly without having to fuss about learning anything new. You know, the truth of the matter is I was inspired to get back into flying when my son Eric decided to go get his pilot's license during his Cal Poly student experience. So when he decided he wanted to start flying, I thought, well, gee, maybe I should do the same thing. And that's when I got back into flying, is about the same time my son Eric did, and that kind of got the family interested. My son Eric really got me enthused about flying again, so that was the initiation of my thinking about going and buying a Cirrus. And he's really been involved in it from the beginning. As I said, he helped me pick it up. He was getting his instrument rating at the time, so we kind of both I got my instrument rating first, and then I loaned the airplane to Eric, and he got his instrument rating. We've flown it to Alaska together. We've flown it to a whole bunch of places throughout the West. And I would say he was the inspiration that got me back into flying. And the two of us have really had a great time flying that airplane, working on it together and fixing it when it needs fixing, so, which isn't too often, fortunately. I didn't learn to fly because I figured I could be an airline pilot or a commercial pilot. I learned to fly because I loved to fly. It was a great way to transport my family around, and it was fun. One thing about flying that I love is that it can be a very fulfilling family pursuit. I've mentioned that Eric and I love to fly together. We love to work on the airplane together. In fact, just yesterday we had a problem with the Cessna, and we thought it was going to be a very expensive problem. Turned out it was a loose connection in the electrical system. It took us a couple hours to fix it, and the airplane's back in the air. It was very satisfying to do that together. We thought the Cirrus would be a good airplane, not only to learn in, but for transportation, because it is a four-seater. It's been a good airplane from a family standpoint. So it's a great way to keep the family together, and the family's interested and all enthusiastic about it. So it's kind of like having an interest like camping or fishing or something like that. Well, flying is our family interest, and it keeps us together and keeps us having fun. You know, airplanes are a lot of fun, and sometimes one likes to do things that are a little risky in an airplane, and I think it's fine as long as you use your head. Airplanes are made to have fun in. You know, one lesson I've learned through flying and through other activities is that you can't rush it. Sometimes you've just got to be patient. So timing in a lot of activities is important. You know, when you start to do almost any activity, to plan ahead and think about what the challenges might be and what hurdles might be put up in your way. It's very important to think about how timing can help make it a less stressful event. I've always loved flying, and I think part of it is that you have, instead of just 2 degrees of freedom like you do in any ground-based vehicle, you've got 3 degrees of freedom. You can go up and down and left and right, and it just gives you a feel of flying like a bird when you're up, particularly up in the mountains, or flying along a ridge and looking down and watching the foliage and the animals wandering around down there. It's a feeling that you just can't get any other way.